So you're with Mark and Diane from Real Estate News and Views, and we're doing an Innisfil recap, which isn't as dismal as Barrie.
Yeah, well, I just think the whole sentiment in general market in Ontario, at least central Ontario and GTA markets, are really experiencing a slowdown for the last couple of months, and it just keeps getting worse and worse as we progress through. We're seeing a ton of inventory coming available on the market, and we're seeing dismal sales to follow through. So, um, I don't know. Right, we're in the spring market now, and it feels like it's Christmas time.
I
Nothing
know.
happened. So that's the biggest thing. And then there's just so many listings to choose from today, so many varying different types of pricing strategies, this price, that price, overprice, underprice. It's all over the place. And I think it's getting confusing. I think buyers have retreated a bit. So I
Yeah,
think,
they definitely have retreated. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
when you share the screen, I'll the plug, definitely subscribe and hit the smash the button, not subscribe, smash that button to subscribe to our channels. And in the top part of our descriptions, home evaluation and buyers can get their list of homes right in their email box. So definitely hit those links for more information. And got questions, reach out. Okay.
Okay, so last year 66 sales, this year 50, so we're down 24%.
Okay.
Last month was 45% though. Listings 304 last month, 422 this month.
Okay.
Year to date, I don't know if we can see it. Last year, 229, this year, 179, down 22%.
Sales, right? Year
Yep,
date. Okay. So we're down 22% so far for 2025, correct?
right. This is Innisfil.
Okay. Okay.
Shocking thing though, look at the average price.
Ooh. Again, folks, the average price doesn't do much, doesn't get me excited because it's an average. So we will see fluctuations in the average price
I
as
know, but you know what's shocking to me, Mark? Last year, the whole year, we didn't hit a million.
yeah, but this month if we go over here, everything is slowing down. So when things are slowing down in different all ranges, and all of a sudden you sell a couple homes over a million, it drives that price up.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised at that number, to be honest. So I don't want people to think, oh my God, the Innisfil market's on fire. Did you hear the average price is $1,023,533? No, it's not. It's not doing that much.
Well, the problem is the sales are still way down.
Sales are still way down, and then you know what? As we go through the ranges in here, I'm sure the higher ranges have slowed down too, because that's a bulk of the inventory in that community. Because
Well, this is what this thing should show us now, okay? It should show us that more have sold in the higher price range. That's why the average went up.
it should, but not more than other ones. Well, not bad. So let's start there because we're there already. So let's start at the bottom. Over 1,000,008 have sold. When we look at how small the sales are in that community for the month, you know what? That's 15% of it.
Yeah, but last year was 21.
Oh, for sure.
And that's we're down 62%. So that's the biggest drop.
Put this over in the column again when I do it. I always like to leave them on the screen. So bear with me when I get my calculations on. So 16.8% of the inventory is selling in that range, and then 83% is not. So 16 is percent selling, 83% is not selling. I think it just gives the viewer a bit more as we go, we're going to be talking there for a while. So not much is selling. And this isn't uncommon month over month in these higher ranges. We've seen them.
Hold on, my little thing went here when I tried to do that. So what was the percentage or how many?
Uh,
You said?
16%, 16% is selling, Diane, and 83% of the inventory in that million and over range is not selling. Can you make it
Okay,
bigger?
got it.
Okay. All right. So inventory is still consistently growing throughout all ranges.
Yes.
We're seeing that and we're experiencing that. So the buyers have a lot of choice to choose from today, right?
Well, in Innisfil, we're still like none of the other price categories are even close to
No.
the over a million.
And that's the makeup of the community though, right? That's like that's
Yeah,
normal.
where people remember in Barrie, our largest inventory was between 8 and 9.
I think it was 7 to 8, I believe. But whatever.
It was 8 to 9,
Was 8 to 9? Okay. Yeah. So, but
like
in
279 listings. So this is the thing, like here, you still don't see a ton here.
you
So 9 to a million, 5 sales last year, six, basically a wash.
yeah, exactly. And I'll just do the number again. It's almost easy to do.
58 actives.
Oh, give me 1 second. Oh, yes. So 34% is selling.
Which means
65,
66.
65, we'll round it up anyway. 60, 65% isn't selling. More activity in that range, but still it's normal to see in these higher ranges as they get less, we start seeing more, more sell through with it, but the numbers are still dismal, right?
Yeah. So 8 to 9, 46 listings, 10 sales last year, 12, or sorry, 12 last year, 10 this year. So 17% drop there.
Yeah. Over last April, year over year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 21%, put 22% is selling and 78% is not selling in that range. Right? And the numbers tell the story. And I hate being Mr. Negative, but I don't think I'm being negative. I think I'm being very upfront on what's going on in the marketplace. And I get it. Some people don't want to hear it. Probably the sellers with the properties that are priced sitting in the market for 90 days don't want to hear me yapping about it, but it's the reality. Like the market's not good. I think there's a lot of uncertainty still in the environment that we're in right now.
Well, there's a huge amount of uncertainty. And I mean, I was talking to a couple people that are looking to buy today, and like they're worried they're going to overpay.
I think a buyer to that point, and I think a buyer has to, I would think, would have to price that into their offer price. They go, hey, we're taking a chance buying. It could go lower, and we're here stepping up to do this offer to get a deal done, but we want to negotiate.
Well, the other thing too is, and you and I have talked about it lots and lots of times, it depends on what their life plan is too. Like if you're going to stay somewhere 10 to 20, 30 years, like you plan to stay there for a long time, it's not as dangerous.
It's not.
Where when you get into like the starter home where you're going to have a kid or two, and now like I even tell my clients, new buyers, listen, you should buy at least like a 3 bedroom townhouse, because if you get stuck here and you can't sell and you start having a couple kids, like where are they going? Like you have to kind of buy thinking, okay, what if I couldn't sell this house for the next 5 years? Can I live here still? You've had young clients yourself who bought starter homes and then started having kids, right? And it gets too small, too tight. They can't,
They outgrow the house and they start making moves. And I have some now that I'm working with. It's normal. And I think a buyer buying today, has to look at it that, we are going to stay put for, the average, family doesn't move for 14 years to Simcoe. We did a video on a couple days ago. That's the average. So we're not turning houses all the time for the same
No.
rents. Some
But
paid up.
somebody older in their life, like it depends what life stage you're at. For a retired couple to have 2 bedrooms, who cares?
Oh no, for sure. For
They
sure.
don't, it doesn't matter, right? And it's the same with the giant big 2 stories, If you have 3 or 4 kids, you need that now.
And that type of home, they're staying until the kids are in high school. They're going to the middle school, like they're going, to public school, kindergarten to grade 8, and then they're moving to the high school. They're usually in those areas for 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah. Well, and then it's not if you pay 10,000 too much or 20 even.
Okay, describe to me and pay 10,000 20 because you lost me on that one.
Well, if you're worried about overpaying,
I don't
okay,
think
and you
someone's
pay
over today though.
20, 30,000 more than you think it's worth or where the comps say or whatever. If you're staying there for 10 or 15 years, it's kind of irrelevant.
Yes.
Now, now
Explain that.
if you're paying 200,000 too much, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't think anybody's overpaying today, right? If they're bidding more in that situation and they really want the house, then yeah, they may need to go 10K over with list price. That's pretty average what we're kind of seeing today. We're not seeing 50, 60, 70 grand. We're not seeing those numbers unless it's priced below market value, we do. But the ones that we've, done videos on and conversations on, it's 6, 7 grand. That's it. Yeah, that's a wash. That's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I do think a buyer who's putting, pen to paper today will go, you know what? There's uncertainty in this market right now, and I'm being fearful, and that needs to reflect in my offer price a bit. And not stupidly, don't get me wrong, right? It shouldn't be stupid. Well, we need to get it for 100 grand less. That ain't gonna happen. Depending on the price of the home.
Well,
So
this is what I was going to say. Like some of them that have come out in the last couple days, I thought were priced really well.
some were, for sure. Some were priced decently. Yeah, there were. There was a sale on the board today in Barrie. This property was listed in May 17th, 2024 for 1,400,000 and change. It sold today, almost 1 year in the market. It sold for 1,290,000. I did the calculations. That was a 13% cut price.
Hmm.
So, how many conversations have we had on properties that are, you know what I mean, a little bit higher than what the market will go? Why wouldn't you just cut that 13? Why wouldn't you just list the property 13% lower right from the get-go? Imagine that they went through 3 or 4 agents on it. We even looked at it with some clients. Look, it had location. Home needed a bit of work, but it had location. It sat for a year, empty, empty. Imagine the carrying costs on that.
Well, the other problem to that is if you listed it for 1.29, people would think it was still overpriced. And then you see what I mean? Like
I don't think so.
a
How
lot of people think everything's overpriced right now, Mark, and not everything is.
they do, but if I was sitting with my clients showing them and they walk in, Mark, how's the price? And I go home and whip up my computer and going, you know what? It's good. Here's why it's good.
Yeah.
It's priced for the market. So I don't want people to think by listing at 1.4 and change and waiting a year is okay, unless you want to. But I know I wouldn't want my clients to do that. They never got the money. They never got any offers. They might have, I don't know if they got offers, but all that work in the home sitting vacant, costing them money, taxes, upkeep, people managing the property. That's
And
a,
the stress
I'm sorry, what?
and the stress.
In the stress. So there's a lot of homes out there that could do with a 10 to 13% haircut, and they would probably sell.
Yeah.
Not all, but some.
No.
That was a great story.
Okay. 7 to 8. We have 41 actives. We have 10 sales this year, 7 last year. We're actually up in that category.
And there's not a lot of product there, eh? In that category, in that community, in a sense.
Not really.
So 24% are selling, and then 75% isn't. 76%, whatever. I wonder what it's going to take, Diane, for the buyers to come back.
I don't know. Like, I wonder too.
Pricing, is it interest rates? Is it sentiment? Economy changes. There's
I think
so
it's
many
consumer
people.
confidence. Like, I'm telling you, every buyer and everybody I'm talking to, like, they think it's going to keep going down, and they're worried that they're buying now and they're overpaying. we watched that video. You sent me that video from CP24 about the real estate market being crap in April. And they talked about, if the market was going to go down and what kind of forecast and the guy from Toronto Real Estate Board said, well, it's really hard to tell. And the interviewer said the best thing ever. I thought, at least we have an interviewer that knows what he's talking about. He said, it seems to me like people are trying to time the bottom. And he
No,
said, and we all know that nobody can time the bottom perfectly because nobody has a crystal ball. But he says it seems that that's what's happening. Everybody's sitting back and waiting for that bottom to come. They're afraid to overpay because they saw all these people do it a few years ago. And so now it's all like this waiting game. When we start seeing people dip their toes, when we start seeing it go, I think there's going to be a rush because everybody's going to think, holy shit, it hit bottom. And now I got to get in before it goes the other way.
that happens quite a bit. Happens every day in the stock market.
Hmm.
Every single second in the stock market,
Well, we've
right?
seen it in real estate too, where one week it's hot as anything, multiple offers, the next week nothing's selling. And we're like, what happened? What just happened?
Comes in waves. We have
2017.
a
Oh,
while,
it's horrible like that.
right? Like it's
You don't know. So 6 to 7, only 23 active, six sales, eight last year, 25% drop. But really that is like a very, very,
yeah, and we have a lot of there could be some vacant land in that area and some other things like that, right? So it's a lower range for the community. Still 26% selling, 74% isn't. And look at the range, it's very consistent with their numbers that were shown that in all ranges. Look at them
yeah.
all. 70, the highest one, of course, is what we expected, but these are 6 to 9. It's all within the right range.
Hmm.
A lot of inventory. So, buyers that are paying attention to this should start really paying attention to the numbers. And, I think there could be some deals coming out there where sellers do get frustrated, right? Maybe pinpoint those properties, like the one I was, talking for a year. Finally, they clicked and they said, okay, we're taking it.
Hmm. Well,
But
and the 5 to 6 range, seven active, two solds. I put 0% change. I think these are Sandy Covers, Mark.
I know it's not even worth. I know we do it, but yeah.
Because Innisfil doesn't really have condos except for the ones at, what the hell, Friday Harbor. And usually in that range is those land lease ones, right? The senior land lease property.
Yeah, they didn't come up. Yeah, they come in the lower ranges. They do. Yes, yes, they would.
Because
Yeah.
in Innisfil right now, I'll just do a check, but look at under residential freehold. If we look from what's actually listed between 5 and 6, because I don't want people to think like you can actually buy real like detached normal houses in Innisfil between 5 and 6.
No, there's not 8, and they're all over, right? Guilford, rural. There's a Park Ridge, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's got the land lease,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
This is vacant land.
yeah,
Here we have one in Guilford, which is probably,
yeah. A tear down by looking at it almost.
yes, right? Yeah.
Another
Another,
tear down.
yeah.
Well, needs tons of work. There's no cabin.
And it's really small too. 598, two bed, two bath townhouse.
Too expensive. It's not.
Well,
That's not.
now we're at 600, right?
We're not seeing 2 out of 10 selling Barrie for that price.
Been on the market 44 days.
Why? That's why.
And now we're back to land lease,
Yep.
right?
Get the community in on the price.
Yeah, like at this price, you're getting like this thing is probably 6 or 700 square feet,
Tiny.
right? So there's not you don't get a lot of choices at that kind of price. Not in Innisfil.
not even close. Small community, right? Small
Yeah.
community.
And I'm just hoping, Mark, I'm hoping that somehow, some way, consumer confidence comes back, and not just for the real estate market, it's for the world in general. Like it's so depressing right now. Like everybody's in this funk and nobody has confidence in the economy or the world right now.
No, it's just they're scared to make some big decisions, and buying and trading up is a big decision. But if if someone's sitting on good equity positions, you got to take a longer perspective on it, right? Like real estate market, when we're buying and selling properties, and we've bought many in the years, I'm not looking at selling next year, and I don't place that type of an asset, Diane, going and watching it go up and down.
I know.
Stock market's for. It goes up and down like a circus. This isn't a stock market, right? But it is a market. And right now it's very slow. It's a supply and demand. We have a lot of supply with very low demand right now, right?
Mhm.
How do we get the demand creeping up? What has to give? Well, better economy, maybe, more certainty about the economy, better pricing for the market. What else?
Better interest rates,
Interest rates. That
incentive as some kind of incentives, like
we need something like that to, I think, to bring back the buyers to feel, I'm coming back. And like you said before, what typically happens is that look at the COVID days. You could sell crap to anybody and they would have bought it back then.
mm-hmm,
We've seen crap houses sell and get stupid money.
mm-hmm,
Everything was selling because of cheap
mm-hmm.
spending. Everyone was just having a great old time. Now, holy cow, it's did a big 360. And
Yeah.
then third follows. So the smart ones, and I'm not saying everyone buying in right now is smart, but there's different reasons and motivations to buy and sell in today's market. Where people get divorced, downsizing, upsizing, moving out of the province,
Jobs.
jobs. There's lots of things. The market is going to continue to go, but we're just seeing the opposite of the influx of inventory with sluggish demand and dismal sales. And we're
Mm-hmm,
still seeing, when we see, I look at the list price to sell price all the time, 97, 98%, of the price they're getting. Some have taken maybe, example, that one a year to get, but when they price it that way, they still on paper it looked good. But when
mm-hmm.
we peel back that onion, then we see how long that they've tried on the market. That doesn't work today. That strategy doesn't work. The let's try this number, everyone has the data, everybody has the right tools to communicate to a home seller today and going, here's where your property fits in and here's why,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is being that transparency piece for people to see that. But
But
if any,
I priced that one I showed you, that one in Innisfil, and I have comps, right? And I've had people say, "Oh, your price too high." Well, I just like I have the actual sales, and like we're like right on the button. We're not too high.
if you have it for 2 or 3 weeks, then you take it down 2 points.
We've only had it one.
There you go.
And the first weekend, six showings.
Right. So it's going to take longer. The seller needs to understand that now. It's going to slow. Showings are not going to be rushing through the door. They're going to be very sporadic,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you get 2 showings a week, I think you're doing good. Three is a bonus,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that's going to be normal. So stuff that we used to see selling back maybe 6, 7 weeks ago was priced, for the market. It's usually gone 7 to 14 days. I
Mm-hmm.
think now that's 21 to 28 days now.
Mm-hmm.
Fewer buyers have just retracted from this market.
Mark, you want to see something funny?
Sure. Oh, great. We stopped quiet. Yeah,
Ah, yeah.
it's quiet.
You
Okay.
sleep beside my microphone
Yeah.
on the table. I
Um,
think that's it. We're at our
I think we covered some good details and where the market is today, and we don't know where it's going tomorrow, but I think some change, comes along. It's gonna take some little bit of time. to change the sentiment and the
And it always does change. It's going to change eventually.
oh, it always does. It just takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, see you.
See ya.